Wandering around certain parts of the Commonwealth's metropolitan area will eventually have you coming into range of the Silver Shroud radio. Listening to it will eventually give you the prompt to come find Kent in Goodneighbor, which just happens to be a convenient way to find Goodneighbor if you haven't been there yet, and start the quest, The Silver Shroud. This is easily my favorite quest in the game because of the likeness the Silver Shroud bears to the Shadow, an old radio drama that might be the basis for the Batman comic character, as well as many other nitty-gritty, dark sort of stuff like that. All of the Shadow's plays are now public domain and can be found on YouTube. I'll put a playlist in the description of the video if you're curious about what the real Silver Shroud sounds like. Trust me, it's worth sitting down and listening to. But let's get back to the quest before we get too sidetracked here. Heading into Goodneighbor and entering the Memory Den will have you go to a door on your right that introduces you to Kent, a ghoul with dreams of superhero crime fighting and a high respect for what the Silver Shroud stood for. Humor him a bit, and then agree to go find the Silver Shroud costume in Huber's Comics, which isn't even too far of a walk away from Goodneighbor. Now be careful. Huber's Comics is chocked full of high-level ghouls, but it's also full of really cool goodies. What you need is the Silver Shroud costume that's on the top floor in the movie set. What you want to grab, however, is the holotape for the script of the Silver Shroud TV show by the producer's terminal, I believe on floor 3, a photo of the Silver Shroud on display next to a baseball bat and some other stuff like that, the Silver Submachine Gun prop, which is right behind the Silver Shroud's costume, behind the little backdrop thingy, and then as a bonus, in the same room where you find the Silver Shroud costume, there's a locker where you can find Grognak the Barbarian's costume, and then on your way out, don't forget to snag Grognak's axe, a unique melee weapon, right behind the counter in a glass display case. There's also a bunch of comics and Nuka Quantums, and just holy crap, this place is totally worth spending like an hour just turning over everything. There's so much good stuff in this place. Oh, and as a note, once you pick up the Silver Shroud costume, you can't get rid of it until this questline's over. It only weighs 7 pounds, but that still can be quite the inconvenience for people that like to keep a tidy inventory. Return to Kent to get some caps based on how many extra goodies you found, and he'll eventually tell you that he wants you to become the Silver Shroud. Go ahead and accept the offer and get ready for the most fun roleplay that you're going to have in-game without using your own imagination. Every time you roleplay as the Shroud and speak as if you were the Silver Shroud, you're pretty much going to get everything you need in the best case scenario, and it's just filled with so much campy goodness, there's no reason really to not roleplay as the Silver Shroud. You're just going to have a ball during this whole quest. Spend some time creeping around Goodneighbor's back alleys while listening to the Silver Shroud radio, and every now and again, Kent will interrupt the broadcast to give you a target that you need to go kill. The first is a man who's been accused of murder hiding out behind the Hotel Rexford, and he doesn't put up much of a fight. Just mow him down and leave a calling card on his body to know that the Silver Shroud is now a real thing. Return to the back alleys of Goodneighbor and turn on your radio to find your next target, a drug pusher that suddenly decided that selling to children is the best thing since, well, 99-cent stores, or I really don't know what drug dealers consider good things. AJ the Pusher is hidden out in some back alley marked by your quest marker, and he's got 2 of his guards with him. Talk to him and he'll give you the option to bribe you. However, the Silver Shroud doesn't take bribes, he just takes lives. Go ahead and leave a card on AJ and return to stalking the back alleys. Eventually, the Silver Shroud radio will reveal that your next target is a mercenary named Kendra. Head to the 3rd rail and go talk to the Mr. Handy bartender and roleplay as the Shroud to find out where she's been hiding out without having to pay money. Take a short walk outside of Goodneighbor to the apartment building she's holed up in, and Kendra will talk to you and tell you how much you're in over your head and that you've been attacking all the guards of someone named Sinjin. Give her some good old-fashioned murder, leave a card on her body, and return to Goodneighbor. Upon returning to Goodneighbor, the Silver Shroud radio will now say that John Hancock, the ghoul mayor of Goodneighbor, wants to have a word with the Silver Shroud in person. Follow your quest marker into the main building in the center of Goodneighbor and meet John Hancock if you haven't already. When you talk to John Hancock, he'll say that he loves just about everything you're doing, and that he enjoys the fact that you've been undermining a crime boss named Sinjin, who's been terrorizing Goodneighbor. He reveals to you that there's two more targets, one of which is actively plotting to kill you and the other which is running from you, that you need to get rid of to help further undermine Sinjin. Both of them will become marked on your map, and they're a medium-length walk away from Goodneighbor, so you might want to fast travel to a nearby location. Both parties are not exactly the toughest fights in the world, so clear them out, leave cards on the main people, and return to Goodneighbor to help do more justice. If you return to the Memory Den, Irma will tell you that people came in here and kidnapped Kent, and that they left a message for you on the Silver Shroud radio. Tune into the radio to hear Kent being taken hostage by Sinjin himself, and tell you where Sinjin's taking Kent so that he can get to you. Alternatively, you can just turn on the radio as you come into Goodneighbor to learn all of this and move along, but I'll leave that to your discretion. Now, before you go storm that hospital, there's a few things you need to stock up on so that you can save Kent. You're going to need at least 2 things of jet, a few Nuka Quantums, or any sort of thing that will refill your action points, and an accurate, high critical weapon. Something that has high damage. Really, I think the best weapon for this is either a 50 caliber sniper rifle, or if you started the Brotherhood of Steel quest line, Righteous Authority is an excellent choice for this fight. Now blast your way to the top floor of the hospital, and just before you enter the room where Sinjin, Kent, and several guards are, be sure to save your game. You're really gonna need it if you want Kent to live. Now, I found that the best path to make sure that Kent lives while subduing all the enemies is to roleplay as the Shroud through all conversational options. Doing so will make Sinjin's guards run away from you, however Sinjin will now immediately target Kent. Here's where your high damage, high crit weapon comes in handy, as well as the chems I told you to pick up. Immediately mash on that Q button to enter VATS mode as soon as you are physically able to, and then unload as many crits and shots as you can into Sinjin's head. Now, once you're out of VATS mode, pop some jet, pop a Nuka Quantum to refill your action points, and repeat the process. Keep on downing Nuka Quantums and spending all of your action points until Sinjin is dead, and you should be able to save Kent. Alternatively, if you don't think you can pull that off or you just can't find enough Quantums, breaking character and passing a very hard speech check will get Sinjin to come after you first. Thirdly, if you have a really high agility and you've put in a lot of points to sneak, you could try silently creeping around the room, picking off Sinjin's guards before picking off Sinjin himself to save Kent. And then finally, if you're just some sort of horrible person who doesn't want Kent to live, you can actually just waltz in there, kill Kent before the conversation starts, and then pass a speech check to have Sinjin's guards turn on him and work for you. But personally, I found that ending to be extremely unsatisfying unless you're actively trying to roleplay as the most horrible person you could possibly be. If Kent survived, talk to him now and then find out that he's feeling very discouraged with the superhero business. Give him a bit of encouragement, and then he'll say he's going back to Goodneighbor. Head back to Goodneighbor yourself, and then go meet with John Hancock. John Hancock will congratulate you accordingly depending on how many lives you saved here, and if Nick's still around, he'll further express discouragement for fighting crime. Speaking as the Shroud and comparing him to the Shroud's civilian friend will instantly bring back his faith in doing the superhero stuff, and now every 10 levels, starting at level 25 and ending at level 45, Kent will interrupt the Silver Shroud radio to tell you that he's made some upgrades to the suits. If you already have one of the upgrades or you waited until level 45 before doing this, he'll have all the upgrades downwards of whatever you got, so you don't have to come and repeat this multiple times. And that does it for this quest. Be sure to like the video and favorite it if you found it helpful so that you can come back later to certain parts of the quest you need more help with. And don't forget to keep your friends who also play Fallout 4 in mind by sharing this quest with those of them that have trouble completing it or having trouble maybe saving Kent. Finally, make sure that you subscribe so that you can see more Fallout 4 tips, guides, and whatever else I can find in the near future. See you later, and thank you so much for watching.